It all started with a small, almost insignificant change, a last-minute decision, a slightly different routine, and just like that, a door opened to a mystery that had been waiting years to come to light. Something dark was hiding in the shadows of a neighborhood that from the outside seemed perfect. During the 1980s and 1990s, a quiet residential area in Maryland was shaken by events that felt straight out of a thriller. Two disappearances rocked the community: 6-year-old Michelle Dorr and Laura Houtling, a young college graduate. At the center of both tragedies was one man, Haden Clark. His story is one of humiliation, rejection, and revenge. Silver Spring, Maryland, May 31st, 1986. It was a warm Memorial Day weekend. Michelle, a little girl with brown hair, blue eyes, and a mischievous smile, was visiting her father, Carl Dorr. While he watched the famous Indianapolis 500, she was happily playing in a small backyard pool. But when Carl stepped outside to check on her, Michelle was gone. He thought she might have gone to her friend Elizabeth Clark's house just 2 doors down, but she wasn't there either. Alarmed, he called the police. A massive search began. Patrol cars, officers on horseback, search dogs, but not a single clue. The disappearance of a child while in her father's care was, for many, unimaginable. Suspicion quickly fell on Carl. He was interrogated for hours and became the main suspect. But there was no evidence, no body, no witnesses. Michelle had vanished. Living on that same street was Haden Clark, a young man with erratic behavior who made neighborhood kids uneasy. He had a history of harming animals. He was questioned, but his work attendance card showed he was elsewhere. With no proof, he was released. From a young age, Haden had been seen as odd. He spent summers at his grandfather's house in Cape Cod. Neighbors described him as unsettling. He was caught several times wearing his mother's or stepmother's clothes. In 1982, he joined the Navy, where he was bullied and humiliated by fellow sailors. He suffered a brain injury and was discharged. Experts believe all of this fed a deep, unmanageable anger. 6 years later, in Bethesda, Maryland, Haden was hired as a gardener at the home of Penny Houtling. Her daughter Laura, a recent Harvard graduate, had moved back home while starting her career. Laura was bright, kind, and responsible, but she increasingly felt uneasy around Haden. She caught him several times spying into her room. Penny decided to fire him. On October 19, 1992, Penny left town on a work trip. That Monday, Laura didn't show up to her job, completely out of character. Her family called the police. Another search began. Near the house, they found Laura's shoes and a pillowcase with suspicious stains. Under forensic light, her bed revealed traces of blood. There was no body, but all signs pointed to the worst. A witness claimed they saw Laura walking around that same day. But the truth later came out. The person walking the neighborhood was Haden, dressed in Laura's clothes. In Haden's van, authorities found a stained pillow and a hardware store receipt. He'd bought duct tape and rope. At the bottom of the receipt, one handwritten word, Laura. That was enough for police to issue an arrest warrant. In June 1993, Haden was convicted of second-degree murder in Laura Houtling's death. The next day, he confessed and led investigators to a shallow grave. There was Laura. According to Haden, he entered through the back door, went up to her room, and took her life while she slept. Then he hid the body. The supposed sighting of Laura was a trick. He had dressed like her to throw off the investigation. With Haden behind bars, detectives reopened Michelle's case. Her father, Carl, admitted he couldn't recall exactly when he last saw his daughter that day in 1986. That was enough to extend the timeline and eliminate Haden's alibi. In prison, Haden told a cellmate that he was responsible for Michelle's disappearance. He described how he lured her to his house by saying her friend Elizabeth was there. Then he took her to the basement, ended her life, put her in a bag, changed his clothes, and went to work. In 1999, he was sentenced to 30 more years, but he didn't reveal where the body was until 2000. In April 2000, the FBI took him to the Cape Cod Dunes. Haden agreed to cooperate on one condition: he be allowed to wear women's underwear and a wig. The FBI agreed. No bodies were found, but he led them to his grandfather's property where they unearthed a plastic bucket. Inside were over 200 pieces of jewelry, trophies from victims, according to Haden. Some belonged to Laura. Years earlier, he had buried that same bucket next to his father's grave in the family cemetery, then later moved it. He also admitted to leaving another unidentified victim in a landfill. In January 2001, Haden finally led detectives to where he buried Michelle. In a forest in Silver Spring, under an old mattress, they began to dig. A scrap of pink fabric appeared, then a bed spring, and finally the remains of the little girl. Almost 14 years later, Michelle was finally laid to rest beside her great-grandfather in a family cemetery near Washington. Between 1986 and 1992, Haden Clark was responsible for 2 confirmed homicides. Sentenced to a total of 60 years, he never showed remorse. He even claimed to have taken the lives of more than a dozen people, though no proof ever surfaced.
Laura Hoteling, a brilliant young woman full of dreams, never got to fulfill them. Michelle Dorr, a joyful little girl who wanted to be a teacher, never had the chance to grow up. 2 stories, 1 name, and a silence that took years to break.
And you, what do you think? Is hate something we inherit or something we choose? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.